Okay, so hi there. It's Peter and Mira from Mind Takeaway, and we've got a special guest with us. Uh, so hello to Katie. I
Hello.
could say that she's a writer, an artist, a filmmaker. I guess just before we actually press record, we were thinking about, how do you introduce each other and the many hats that we wear as humans. So over to Katie, really, just to explain a little bit what she's doing right now.
All right. Well, we were all just laughing because it's so hard to say, to like label yourself all of a sudden. And yeah, like at the moment, I just feel like I'm a project maker. So I just kind of do the next project that makes sense to do, like what's inspiring, but also um, what's kind of working with the universe at that time. So it's like I lost my job last year, and I was like, I'm not going to go and try and get another job. I'm just going to try and grow something. And just I kind of called it like following the universe's breadcrumbs. Like I would, my part of it was to go out there and be proactive, as in explore things and get excited about them, and just do the first steps and stuff, and then something would happen, something would just grow from that, and then I would just grow this garden of projects, and eventually hopefully it'll all make sense, like looking back or something. But that's
Yeah, that's great. That's an awesome way of doing it.
yeah.
That's a good segue into talking to you about the last project that, wow, I think, when did we first meet each other? Back in what, 2017, when we were training to be coaches and looking at clarity?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. And I remember when you first mentioned about a project that you were getting excited about,
Yeah.
which is now Wonderland X, it's amazing. It's actually a reality. It's out there. People can, watch your films, right?
Yeah, they're there. They exist. And it's quite crazy because I knew for ages that this project kind of needed to be made. Like I knew it made sense, like that, to have this understanding of the way your experience is created, and Alice in Wonderland and virtual reality. It just seemed like three things that had to be put together, and I didn't have any idea about how that was going to look, or how it was even going to get done. And I had a few false starts of going, oh, maybe I can create it this way. And like for a while I had a whole load of well, I think you were one of them, Peter, like the coaches that were going to do like an hour's free coaching or a few hours free coaching for people, and then they would donate the money to
Yeah.
get things made, and I was going to make it on a few
Yeah, I
£100.
remember that actually.
And yeah, and that was like, it's not like it was a false start really, because that was what made me realize that, oh, people are really interested in this idea, like it's going to be something that people actually want to see. And then just like a few other bits and bobs happened. Like I managed to get a day's training of virtual reality, and when I went there and I was telling people that understood about how to make virtual reality about the project, they were just as excited about it, like coming from the other side, the technical side. So I was like, yeah, this is looking like it is something that needs to get made. And then this opportunity with Google and YouTube came up, where you could pitch, like put in a proposal for, they wanted 5 films to be made. And I was like, well, that's kind of going to work actually, just, doing these 5 little films.
Yeah.
So I applied for that, and I really didn't think, like in my head, I'd made Google as big and therefore like not something that, I could get some funds from. So it was interesting to see that, that big was made up, and then what big meant was made up as well. So
Yeah, that's really interesting, right? And when I got really excited, Katie, when I thought, wow, this is really happening, when you showed me the massive teacup.
Oh right.
I was just like, wow, that's so cool.
Well, there's not only one massive teacup, because I made one to try and make a video to get some money, like funding with the coaches, and then and it wasn't quite as good as I wanted to. So like when I got an interview with Google to do it, I was just like, I really, really want the money so I could make this giant teacup. Then I was like, that was suddenly became like the thing I'd be most excited about if I got to do it, make another giant teacup. So the it was so fun. Like that, once I actually got it, like the first 3 months was so fun because I just got to create so much, like the teacup and the scripts, and start casting people and getting like one of the really magical moments is when we got a composer who really got what I was trying to do, and it started to become alive, not just through me, like other people were starting to create some kind of life in the project. But it's funny because it was a journey still. Like there was post was absolute hell. Like the what we were trying to do was so new that it was quite ambitious, especially with 5 films. That the actual technology and knowledge wasn't there to do it. So like it got so complicated that my computer would be crashing like every 30 seconds. So I'd have to make one change, press save, and then wait for it to crash, and then load everything up. Do one save, one change, press save, and that was the only way to do it. I was just at one point, I was just like, oh, I just have to accept this. I just have to, if I want to get it finished, I just have to ignore like all that frustration and terror of not being able to get it done, and I just have to sit with it and do it. I just have to do it anyway. Like the feeling has to be.
I'm glad you persevered, because the results, I guess obviously people can see it for themselves, but I was blown away. Can I ask you as well, so the videos were shot in what's called VR 180, right?
Yeah.
Which is obviously virtual reality. So I guess to get the best experience of watching this, you can, or it'd be good to go out and get a pair of VR goggles, right?
Yeah, it's like the so there are loads of different formats of VR. So like most people, I'm guessing, are just watching it on a phone, which means that you can kind of look around the sets. You can't see behind you, but you can look around. But like you can get these. This is a VR headset, so it's made out of cardboard. And you can get they only cost like £3 or £5, and you put your phone inside it. And if you look through this one, not only can you look around, but everything is in 3D, like but not in this kind of 3D where you're like when you're watching it on a cinema screen with the color thing. It's 3D in the same way that your eyes work, because you're actually seeing a different image in both of the lenses. So it's a perfect 3D. So like if you had a high quality camera and a high quality VR set, it would be like being there, except that it's a film, so you can't like look around, actually move around things, but you can look around, you can experience it in 3D. So yeah, but I don't know how many people will actually get to see it like that. I think most people at the moment are watching them as
I want to get hold of something to watch it in, because I've got many friends who are gamers and stuff like that, so I'm sure I can make some tech so I can look at it.
And it was kind of interesting, like just from like a creative point of view, making the films. Like if you're doing something in VR, you have to think completely differently than a film, like because you can't do any edits. You can change scenes, but you couldn't have like in a film you normally have like what you call like a shot reverse shot, so you're seeing one person then you see the other person talking. But if you were to do that while somebody was in VR, you would actually change who you were. You would be like, oh, I'm this person, oh no, now I'm like this person over here. Like you can't, because when in VR you're not watching something, you're kind of experiencing it. So if you move somebody around the room, that's not an experience that we naturally have. Like we wouldn't be able to read that with our minds. And it's the whole reason I wanted to do something in VR in the first place, is the difference between just watching something and experiencing it. Like my first experience of VR was like a really good Google one and a really good headset. And this, I was underwater with fish shoaling past, and then feel this presence behind me. And I turned around, there's this ginormous whale, and he comes really slowly down and stops just at my eye height and looks at me. When I looked at him, I just had the most incredible experience of having connected with a whale. And like it was all digital, so obviously I knew that it was fake, but it didn't make any difference, because I had experience connecting with this enormous beast, and it kind of changed me. And when I when I was looking more into how our own experience is created, I just realized why VR works so well. It's because it's working kind of in the same way that our own experience is being created. That the reason I felt like I'd experienced it is because all my kind of data streams were so defined, they're given to me. So, and that's the same way that we're experiencing everything. It looks real to us because of it's meant to look real to us.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's a really immersive experience, right?
Yeah.
On this project, what resonated with me so much was that, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to show people where their experience is coming from. And what I was going to ask you, did you have a particular target in mind in terms of who your audience was going to be? Because I can see why it'd be wonderful for young people and kids to, try and understand their own psychology and where thought creates their experience. But actually, I think for anyone, adults included.
Yeah, absolutely. I never actually made it for kids. I just, but like all my stuff comes out like that. And I kind of feel there's something about being an adult, but being able to approach something like a kid that kind of opens your mind a bit. It's that kind of curiousness and wonder that lets you see something that you might not have been able to see before, because you've so defined your own world. And I think that's so. I didn't have an audience in mind. I just wanted to make somebody curious about something and hope that they would see something from that. And I wanted people to connect the VR and our own experience. That's what I was mostly trying to do. And also give, like, one of the hard things is once you have this understanding is trying to explain to somebody else what's going on. And I thought it would be lovely to make a resource that people can share.
You're dead right there. I mean, I've used it already.
Oh, great, yeah.
Honestly, I've been sharing with people simply because it makes it, packages it in such a nice way that, it kind of points you to your own experience to go and ponder and wonder about that. And I was going to ask you as well, so in the one titled Down the Rabbit Hole, give examples of where you see that for yourself in your own life.
Which bit?
Down the rabbit hole, so where the power of thought creates your own world.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, that would be everything.
Yeah.
And that's what's so fun about this journey, is that like ever so often you go, oh, like that's also created from inside. That's also created out of thought. And it's like the this isn't quite answering your question, but it's something that's just popping up. It's like about it's like an ever-changing storyline. And the like when, because I used to maybe like training in screenwriting and stuff for films, and we looked at the hero's journey a lot, which is kind of like I'm sure you know, but they like a structure for stories. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end at its simplest. And things like Star Wars and Harry Potter explore, follow it exactly. And and it's funny how often in our own lives we try and create that story out of little bits of storylines we have, you know, like it's but it's so messy, it doesn't feel neat, I can never quite do it. And that's kind of why I really liked Alice in Wonderland, because like I don't actually like it as a story, but I find it so intriguing because it feels more like my own life. It feels more like things change sides and don't quite make sense, and like that bit doesn't fit with this bit. It feels kind of more it feels more like an ever-changing storyline than a nice neat this means that and that means that and here's the end that made it all worth it or whatever. It feels much more like an ever-changing set of experiences that we're forever trying to make meaning of.
Yeah, I can see where that's connected to the narrative, where it lets it play out, and like I say, it kind of makes you wonder, right? And it points towards experience rather than a set storyline or a narrative, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Just to say the subject a little bit, I heard a particular voice in one of the chapters, and I was like, "Wow, I know that voice."
Yeah.
The voice of the caterpillar.
Yeah.
Sounded like
Yeah.
someone I've heard before.
Absolutely. That was Michael Neal.
Yeah.
And yeah.
How
That
did
was
that happen? That's really cool that he got involved.
Yeah, well, we just asked him,
Yeah.
and he's like an extraordinary busy person. Like I couldn't believe it how busy when I actually got in communication with him. And I think in the end, I think he recorded his part on the phone in between flights, as I remember, like in a hotel room, and like that was going to be our rough version to act against, and but in the end the feeling was so right that we used the that in that first recording because it just felt right.
It just reminds me of, you know, how we assume that people would or wouldn't do something, they're too busy, they wouldn't do it, or they're, you know.
Yeah.
But actually, only thing you need to do is ask, and what's the worst thing that can happen? They either say yes or no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you just avoid wasting too much time thinking about something because it's the story anyway.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things I learned on this project was just A, the enormous amount of thinking that you do all the time, and B, how unnecessary it is. Like just a lot of it, you know, like I didn't plan to be Alice at first, and then I was like, can I really be Alice? Like, can I get away with that? And you know, I had a whole load of thinking about who should be Alice and why I couldn't be Alice and stuff.
Why not though, you know?
But it's perfect.
Exactly. The
it's so much more fun now, the fact that it's your project, but you get to appear in it as well.
Well, that's what I thought in the end. Like, I mean, I thought whoever says these words is going to know they're true. And somebody said to me, but wouldn't you be directing somebody to be doing it how you want to do it? And I was like, oh yeah. So I was thinking, oh, well, what does the project need then? Like, what instead of what do I feel? And then you know, on my more playful days, I would be like, oh, well, what does it matter? Like, if it all goes really wrong and it's no good or anything like that, then I got to be Alice. You know, like I got to be, you know, in these sets and play these other actors and stuff. So like, I still got to play even if it does go wrong. But a lot of that was like I would just go, oh, I just need to show up and ignore myself. That was how I did it in the end. Like I had, you know, I didn't get time to learn my lines because I was like trying to, you know, finish off everyone's costumes, or you know, there was a lot more work in like managing a crew than I'd realised, you know, like when I was doing the props and costumes as well and stuff. And so I could not believe, you know, I was like going to bed that I just was like, oh, I haven't even learned my lines. That looked like it was going to be the most important thing. And then, you know, when I was thinking about myself as Alice, and then so I turn up on the day, go, oh God, it's going to be, it was quite hard to direct and act at the same time. Get a whole load of thinking about that. And so I just had to go, okay, turn up, ignore yourself. And yeah, but it was nice to do that from the understanding that I'm making it all up anyway. You know, so there were, you know, there's loads of times at the beginning when I was like, oh, I have no idea if this is going to be any good, and like nobody's going to want to, you know, or anything that I was thinking of, I was just like, okay, that's just how it looks to me right now. I don't need to put any weight on that, because, you know, a little bit later on it will look different to me again. And once you start to spot that more and more, it's kind of easier to trust that even when you don't feel it, even when it feels horrible, kind of plug into something else. And the something else was, you know, I just, this wants to get made. So, and any thoughts about, oh, it should be perfect or anything like that, then those are also, you know, constructs that I've made up at that point, because it doesn't have to be perfect. And it's not in any way, like but it's like, that's not what's going to do it for somebody watching. If I've created a space at some point, then somebody watching will hear what comes up in them, not what we're saying anyway.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's really subjective, isn't it? When we all create stuff, and in the process of creating it, we're always like, yeah, it needs to be better, or, you know, perfect, or all of this. But what is perfection? As you said, it's very personal. And
yeah,
you know, how many times have you created something to not really be confident about it, and then people are like, wow, this is great, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
Okay, where did that come from?
Yeah.
But I think it's really crucial for people to hear this, that just carrying on, right, regardless of what feelings come up in that whole spectrum, whether it's happy, sad, and, you know, fearful, or feeling judged, or whatever it is, it's fine, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had the whole lot, and like, and you know, and it's not like it was really graceful. It wasn't like, oh no, I'm having like a bad thinking about this, and it's past. You know, like sometimes it went on for weeks. You know, in the dark days of the post, and yeah, and sometimes I even lost sight of the fact that it was only my experience in the moment, like, you know, like it you know, looked really real to me, and like, why have I done this, why have I started this? And then eventually it didn't look like that again, and I kind of got to the point, like, it's not even about me anymore. Like, it's not like if I did it well, if I didn't do it well, like all those things that I was just like got, you know, really caught up in. Like, I begin to see it just doesn't matter. It's something that is created, you know, like it is, and therefore it's perfect, you know, like, because it's like anything else. Like it couldn't have been any other way. Like, everything that ever happened before that created it as it was. Like, it's not like it could have been created any differently.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? And the fact is, it, for me, I mean, again, I don't know if you see it this way, but, and I guess it's easier to see it when it's someone else's creation. I see it as a gift. You know, it's your output. You've given that out to the world. And I'm guessing, like me, a lot of people will resonate with it or find it useful, or it will point them towards something that will be useful for them, or it will, you know, point them to somewhere in their own experience. So, it's great. I mean, one question I was going to ask as well, what would be next? Because considering you've done something like this, what happens after
that? Well, the true answer is I don't know. The other true answer is I've got an awful lot of ideas. So we're kind of kind of see which one's coming up. But and it's just like at the beginning of the Wonderland X thing, I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew it was kind of a direction I wanted to go. And it's the same now. Like I've kind of got this sense of like a game or experience,
Yeah.
you know, kind of based on this, but where people can get to explore this understanding, like inside a kind of a game that's with other people in their own lives, but over a few weeks, and probably Wonderland themed.
Well, that sounds great. I don't know if you remember way back when you first mentioned this, and you were you were in pitch mode and trying to get, doing the hustle and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That was one of the first things that you mentioned to me. I don't know if you remember.
Was it?
Yeah, it sounded like that was even before the video. You were talking about it being a more immersive, like a game experience kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I see a lot of my ideas develop. Like I really enjoy an idea, and then I'll enjoy another idea, and then at some point these two ideas will like merge and become something. It just seems really obvious that those two ideas are meant to be the same thing, and I think that's when you start to get interesting stuff come up. But I'm really intrigued about what happens, like if you learn this through insight. So I kind of really excited about exploring other ways of finding insights. Like I think experiments and games are a great way of having an insight, because it's not just thinking about stuff. Then it's kind of exploring. Well, it opens you up to that curiosity.
Yeah, it's creativity and it's pure form, right? To explore, and I guess it gets people in that state of flow quite easily because it becomes fun.
Yeah, and I guess it opens up that space for this other thing to come in, like whatever it is, because you're kind of going. It's kind of there within the structure of a game or an exercise, because there's the bit and then there's the bit like what's going to happen, and the thing that feels what's going to happen is going to be new, rather than our own kind of constructs that we've already made and got very stuck in. Yeah.
And just two last things. One is if people want to get in contact with you when they've watched these videos, I've seen them on YouTube, but I think you have a website as well, Wonderland X. No?
Yeah, wonderlandx.com. So it's easy to remember because it's just the one. It's just got an X on the end of Wonderland, and I think there's like a bit you can subscribe there, or it has my email on it, which is just wonderlandx.com too. So and then then I can let people know if I create some kind of game.
Yeah. And if someone was, sorry, were you going to say something?
No. Maybe I forgot.
Okay. I was just going to say, if anyone's at the start of their journey, looking at projects like this or anything for that matter, is there anything you would say? I don't want to say advice, but is there anything now that you've gone through that whole experience? And as you say, that, the concept to reality, the in-between, that messy in the middle bit where it's the post-production, and it's like, is there anything you would say to people who are going to embark on such a journey?
I just think it's the most exciting thing you could possibly do. So like I just think, like that. The thing I love about Wonderland is it's the curiosity. Like like Alice arrives and is curious about what on earth is going on, and I think as soon as you get curious about it, again you're just leaving that space for something new, and like your own insights, or like where the magic comes from. Like I wouldn't swap my journey for anything, like for some like enlightenment experience or anything, because like it it's such an intimate relationship between you and the truth, I suppose. It's like the once you get curious about what's really going on, then you just start getting given these gifts, and and the world starts changing because it starts looking different.
Yeah, I like that. So would you say that by being bold and taking those steps, because you've given that gift out to the world, I guess that closes the circle, right? So you're also getting back from it. You're also receiving, even though you're the receiver.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's more like a spiral, like a whirlwind spiral, up and away.
Cool. I think that's a nice place.
Yeah, it's just really amazing what you said just now. When you're curious, you're open to see something new.
Yeah.
You're not stuck in your story of this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And just exploring that little bit, you see how it works, and then you're more open to do it more.
Yeah. And I don't think it ever ends, because there's so much, like every time you see a truth, if you just hold on to it, like that's kind of a limitation, because that's just become a new construct for you. And like the in Drink Me, which is actually my favorite one, the second one, and it's talk about the teddy and about how the feelings don't come from the teddy. Like, that was a beautiful truth to know. That was like yeah, like it was kind of more like an intellectual truth, I suppose, when I kind of saw it. And then, like, later on, as I got more and more curious about that, I started to see that it's almost like that the feelings do come from the teddy, because actually you are also creating the teddy. It's like by the time you're having a reaction to the teddy, it's like a done deal. You've already created what the teddy means, and then you're responding to it. And I remember at first of all, I used to get really annoyed with myself, like going, why am I annoyed with my husband? Because it's not him that's making me annoyed, it's me. But it obviously looked like it was him that's making me annoyed. And later on, once I saw that it's actually that, that there really wasn't a reality before we've created it out of thoughts. But that there's like, that there's no meaning and no reality. So by the time I've experienced my husband and got annoyed with him, I've created an annoying husband. Sorry. And like, there is no other way of me experiencing that. I experienced an annoyance because what was created was an annoying husband in that moment. And yeah, that was and there's going to be more to see on that as well. That took me out of, for ages I was just beating myself up with this, like, it's not the teddy. Like, and trying to change how I was experiencing it, whereas now I realize I don't have any choice about how I experience it. By the time I'm annoyed with him, he's already annoying in the creation that I have made in that moment.
Because it's playing out in real time, isn't it? And
yeah,
like the chapter, is it in Drink Me, is it?
Yeah.
And it says that, sometimes you feel, it looks like those feelings are coming from outside of us, but that's also the happy, lovely feelings. Plus, like you say, when people try to annoy us or things that we don't like, but actually we're creating that experience always in real. But I think the beauty of it is that it's just to be aware of it, because we can't stop it happening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and I just now I've watched the videos, watched the films when they came out, and now I'm thinking to do it again. But now I want to do the glasses. How can we get the glasses?
Yeah, well, you can just get them on eBay or Amazon or.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I think they're like about £3 or £5 to get them.
Yeah, actually, the ones that you showed are actually really good value. And to be fair, that's probably the best way of viewing it, right?
Yeah, totally.
You don't
Yeah,
need-
there's because it's you need with the more expensive ones, they're more expensive because you can do things like look around the corner and move around or tilt your head and stuff like that. So you can move around objects. But of course, this was filmed, not created by a computer, so you can't move around an object anyway. So the VR you get on this would be just as good as the VR that you experience that you get on like one of the better ones.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put a link so you can get that as well. When we post the video, we'll put a link up so people.
Because I know one person has watched it in this, because my brother said it was really nice to see me because he lived in a different country. So he was like, "Oh, it's really nice to see you in 3D."
Really cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's it from me then.
Yeah, I think you said some really amazing stuff. As you were talking, I was just like, interesting. Like I had my light bulb moments going on.
Yeah.
So I kept quiet and just really soaking in whatever you were saying, and some really, really amazing stuff. I think I don't have any more questions. I think I've heard everything I needed to know.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Katie, for talking to us. Because yeah, it was just a nice space. And when we talked about, you know, what next, what would you say to someone embarking on that project? It was kind of a goosebump moment for me, because like you said, it started bringing up many, you know, possibilities about what we can all do, you know, creatively, I guess. Yeah. And just knowing that one bit that really stuck out about our conversation is that we can really convince ourselves that something's too hard, too difficult, and, you know, the fear kicks in and, you know, judgment, that kind of thing. But actually, just by getting up and getting on with it, it doesn't really matter what feelings we get into, because like you said, it's sometimes not pretty behind the scenes, is it? And I can definitely resonate with that. If I'm working on something, then I'm all over the shop in places. But crucially, if I keep going, it's going to get done regardless of what goes on in my head, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. All right. See you later. Bye.
Bye.